Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan. I see we have in the chat Trina's Technobabble, Eric's Edge, and Everything is Broken Garage. And I would like to point out, Ryan, that when your tool tells you that it's disconnecting and reconnecting, then I think you can blame the tool, because that's what OBS did. Now, was that OBS? Was that Comcast? I don't know. And apparently my bitrate is going all wacky, which is not cool. Now that's probably Comcast. So, well, I tried to reduce the frame rate to reduce the impact on my bits per second, and that didn't work. I see we have Frank S. joining the chat. And I have... well, I have a computer on the workbench. It's probably not the one you're expecting, because I need to do something first. But I have one announcement, and that is MARCHintosh is coming to a close way too fast. Sometimes I think March needs a couple extra days just to get those projects out. So, well, some of my MARCHintosh videos will be late. So I guess they're not MARCHintosh videos. Oh, you just finished your pre-stream. Yeah, there is quite the latency on my connection. And YouTube is really complaining about something. I am going to see if I can't... all right, this may do something bad. Let me see if I can check a setting here. YouTube's complaining that I'm not sending enough keyframes. Advanced. Well, I don't know where that setting is. I'm just going to ignore that error and move on. And admit that at the moment, I have an LC2 on my workbench, which the reason will come obvious in a moment. Hopefully. All right. Because before I get to the computers we're working on in the stream, I have a short list of system enablers I need to copy onto the Blue SCSI's image. Oh, did I miss? Oh, no, you all are chatting along in the chat. All right, haven't missed anyone yet. All right. Yes, because when you are going to be working on a Performa 600, or possibly some other random board that's sitting beside me, you need a system enabler to be able to use System 7.1. And luckily, after having trouble with it the other day, might have been during Dave's stream. Actually, it might have been after Dave's stream, so no one realized I had a problem to be able to scream at me, Justin, you need a system enabler. Well, I realized later that I need a system enabler, but not for this computer. This is an LC2, so it can boot and it'll let me copy the system enablers. And we'll just call this a well, that's interesting. All right. So my list of system enablers tells me I need system enabler 1, which is right there. And I guess this will be the moment where I see if I did something silly when I did not expect it to do that. System enabler, system software. You know, I don't know where in the system folder system enablers are supposed to go. So if those were supposed to actually get filed somewhere else, someone let me know in the chat. Okay, so I want to go ahead and pull system enabler 65 over. That's the computer where I realized that I needed one. Well, also system enabler 3, because I tried to run benchmarks from this image on an LC3 and an LC475. That didn't work so much. Let me see here. I believe it is system enabler 040. I'll leave you wondering why in the world I need that system enabler. Let's see. Also, just out of good measure, in case I'd get these computers, I need enabler 308 and 364. And that's just because those are the Performa variants of some of the LCs that I happen to have on the channel. There we go. I have the system enablers I need. And we also have every geek with social skills. Hello. All right. Well, you just saw me copy a few system enablers, which is not something you need to... Actually, depending on what OS version, it is something you do need for an LC3. So there we go. Now I have the Blue SCSI updated. I kind of want to check to make sure that that actually updated correctly, so that when I actually get to verifying the work we do on this stream, I am not wondering is it something I did wrong, or is it the Blue SCSI isn't updated correctly. So if you will give me one moment, hey Jack68K, I am going to grab one of the two computers that I have that work, have been recapped, confirmed working, that need a system enabler. And how about I'll pick my Apple IIe. Haha, just kidding. Nope. I picked the closest one. That's the LC475. I just want to make sure these are working because the 2VI will, or the Performa 600, which is based on the 2VI, does need an enabler, which I also copied over. And I just want to check that, because I was kind of expecting the enablers to prompt me to go to the extensions folder, but they didn't. So I just want to make sure they're in the right place. Hey, Retro Tech Chris. Yes. Oh, hey, Garth. I am verifying that the system enablers that I just copied to this Blue SCSI image copied to the correct place, so that when I actually get to testing some of the boards I'm working on tonight, I know that that's correct. Since all the enablers just went into the system folder, I was expecting they were going to prompt me to go into the extensions folder or something like that. But when I drug them into the system folder, they're hanging out in the root of the system folder. But apparently that's correct, because here's my LC475 booting from macOS 7.1, because I copied its enabler too. So yeah. Oh, Retro Tech Chris might go to LNY Electronics this weekend. All right, Chris, I will, if you do make it there, I will, I'll put my thinking cap on if there's anything that I regret not grabbing, which you could probably figure the answer is yes. And also, definitely let me know if you see anything really cool that's up my alley. All right. So anyways, just so everyone knows there, MARCHintosh LC475, starting from System 7.1. Enablers live in the system folder. So there we go. So I am good for, there's the collection of system enablers I've copied. And some of those aren't for tonight's work, but some of them are. I'll just kind of let you all get a sneak preview of, well, actually the ones that I think are important are kind of right there on the screen right there. Enabler 1 scrolled up, but yeah, there's one there that's kind of a spoiler alert. So anyways, okay, enough of that. Enough of the spoilers. All right, I have verified that the Blue SCSI image updated correctly. Because when I unzipped the, well, basically the thing was I tried to do that with Basilisk. I'd unzipped the contents of the folder. Something didn't look right. So I figured I would actually copy them on actual hardware. Oh, actually, no. Well, something didn't look right, but my lunch break was also over. So I copied the image back to the micro SD card and decided, well, I'll take care of actually installing the enablers this evening. So that's right. For some reason, the system enablers, when they weren't in the system folder, were showing up with generic icons and claimed they were just a document, and that didn't look right to me, so I don't know what that was about. All right. Now, I think it's time to get busy recapping, because after all, you all probably came here for the Performa 600. I had a little, I don't know why I started to say Quadra 650, because quite clearly the thumbnail is a Performa 600. So, yeah, don't know why in the world at all I might have said Quadra 650. We'll just have to leave that mystery to later in the live stream. And yes, I'm being dodgy and for dramatic effect, because I think anyone that saw my live stream on Monday would realize I probably gave another spoiler already. Okay, so this is... Oh, I don't know what that anti-static bag's about. All right, that's the wrong thing. All right. So, today in the mail, oh, all right, Geek with Social Skills, we'll see you later. So, I got something in the mail today. If you're wondering why in the world I bought one of these when the image is on the garden, it's because this is the actual pressed CD. Some older CD-ROM drives don't like burned CDs. I also just happened to find this neat pin on the eBays. It was pretty cheap, so I thought that was cool. And of course, most importantly, in the mail today, because the Postal Service, I guess, decided to make me think that Joe was never going to show up in the chat. Hey, Joe! Postal Service probably wanted me to think that they'd lost my package. Give me a little scare, because they knew that I needed this package that I almost showed the wrong part of it on screen. So, yeah, just, oh yeah, I see some chatter about the LNY electronics. Just remember, Chris, that if anyone claims they want the, what was it, a Quadra something or other that was on the shelf, that was the Quadra of sadness because it looked like the battery bomb went off. Here I am not paying a lick of attention to what I'm showing on screen. All right. So with every Console 5 order, you get a Fireball. Pro tip, if you're recording voiceover video, don't have a Fireball in your mouth while you're doing it. Even if they are quite tasty. At least you will be able to tell while you're listening to yourself that there is obviously something in your mouth. I'll let you all figure out which video that might be referring to. All right, but anyways, I have a recapping kit from Console 5 that arrived today. Thank you to Luke at Console 5 for putting the Delta LR57908C power supply cap kits on the backlog. And let me just make sure that, just go ahead and double check the label just to make one last check. Oh, yeah, I think that's the, okay. I think there's two different part numbers. All right, I think we're fine. Well, I'm just going to double check that the correct caps are there. I think the supply needs recapped. Because last time I tried to power up the computer, well, it powered up once or twice, but then it made a weird noise and... Oh no! Canadian Border Security stole Everything is Broken Garage's Console 5 kit. What did they think you were going to do? Recap the Mounties? All right. Well, let's make sure this cap kit looks correct. Probably a good way to do that would be check the Console 5 wiki to see if Luke happened to update the capacitor list for this power supply. Otherwise, I'm going to have to dig up the email he sent me. See here. So I think it's under Mac 2 series. See, that's not it. Delta. Oh, there we go. Reference here, wiki page. There we go. All right, so I got the cap list. And got the power supply here. I will probably end up desoldering these two boards so that they are not bothering me. Let me also move this window over here. Move that there. All right. Auction results. Someone posted an auction link. Okay, I gotta check this out. What did, oh. Commodore PET went for $780, $650. That's kind of a bit. An early Apple II computer. Wow. More than double their initial estimate. That's pretty impressive. Another Apple II that went for 5 times their initial estimate. A Bell & Howell went for $650. Okay, some of this doesn't make sense on this auction listing. How did the first Bell & Howell only go for... Oh, there must be something wrong with it. I'm not looking at descriptions. If anyone knows why lot 15 went for $650, but yet lot 17, which is another Bell and Howell, went for $1,170. I think someone got a good deal. Wow. Oh. Hey, a lot of Apple interface cards went for $102.25. Well, I think my lot of Apple II cards was a better deal because I actually got, like, the ever-multiplying number of Super Serial cards. In fact, I'm almost expecting to find more Super Serial cards appear in my basement at some point. Oh, the monitor isn't as good. Okay, that must be it. Oh, do further down the page, and every price is plus 30% auction fees. Oh, okay, so let me go. Apparently there's something down. Oh, okay. I see where the real madness starts. An Apple III Plus went for $1,300. Okay. That's more than I would have paid, but there's an Apple III component parts that went for $520. A Lisa One, $6,500. Wow. Another Lisa One, $6,500. And as Ryan was reminding me, then you have to add the 30% buyer's premium on top of that. Wow. Another Lisa One, $16,250. I believe it's with the Twiggy drives. Wait, is there a second page of this auction? Oh, yes, there is. Whoa. Wow. That's a, yeah, I think that's a standard fee for something like that. Yeah, my lot was a way better deal. So, hey, K-Mac Vintage. Yeah, I don't know what the, where those things came from, but yeah, that someone, quite possibly made bank today. Let's see, Jack 68K. I don't recall there being any reefas in the 2SI power supply, but it was a very strong burning smell. I haven't opened it to look yet because I have weirdly many working 2SI power supplies. Well, I don't know if there's any reefas in the 2SI power supply, but there's other reasons why there might be a burning smell too. Oh, working because you recapped them. I spat this. Okay, Ryan says that was the personal collection of an Apple repair tech. All right, that makes sense. Okay, well, let's, let me, I'm going to take these two boards apart to make them a little easier to work on whenever doing something that silly, especially when the boards are not marked crystal clear. For example, it looks like for these wires, it's B plus and B minus. I know some of the Apple power supplies actually have the color code on the board. And then that is red, black, yellow. There we go. Take pictures so that when you try to put them back together, you are not wondering where they go back. That is not the point where you want to mess up. After possibly successfully recapping the board and then unsuccessfully connecting the wires back, that would be a travesty. Because depending on what this board looks like, after I recap it, I may want to ultrasonically clean it. I may also look at it, and if it wasn't too bad, isopropyl alcohol might be enough. It also depends on if any of these components, if I figure out they're a relay. Because I know on some of the power supplies for the Mac 2 series, there's actually a relay in the soft power circuit. And you don't want to put a relay through an ultrasonic cleaner. So if there was a relay on the board and I did need to ultrasonically clean it, I would desolder the relay. All right, so there's those 3 wires. And the reason why I'm desoldering these wires is just, I don't want to, like, break them. So I just kind of remove the wire. Oh. Oh, I see the problem. There's actually a... Oh, hey, DJ Craze. Yeah, I would... say that... Oh. Come on. Get the... There's like little pins that... or protrusions that... on these... the pins that are in these wires, I guess, to hold them in place during the soldering process. Oh, okay. Apparently, there's now a theory in the chat that Garth is the one that sold all that Apple equipment to pay for helicopter fuel, but that doesn't... I don't think that's it. I would say that maybe it's actually Retro Techie selling off everything he's managed to get when he asks people, "Can I have it?" and they said sure. I mean, after all, he did start the month off with his like selling challenge. Maybe that was just distract us from the auctions that auction was going on, so we wouldn't think it was his. Yeah, what better way to distract from selling your big, large Apple collection than to just simply announce a little modest $1,000 selling challenge on YouTube? It's like, yeah, I'm just selling these few small things. Pay no attention to the Julian's auctions. Pay no attention. All right, so I've separated the 2 boards. There we go. That will make recapping it go a lot easier. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. A lot of things did sell for the starting bid. Garth, I have not had a look inside that CD-ROM yet. That is on the list of things that I hope to get to tonight. But I wanted to start with the power supply, because if I don't have a working power supply, then, well, nothing else matters. But I do have a cap kit for it. I also, if anyone is curious, just knocked over my dusting toothbrush, so I also have the cap kit for the logic board. I have a second cap kit for who knows what reason. Oh yeah. Also, I guess if anyone was wondering, I ordered a cap kit for that 2CI logic board that I thought was just parts, but after cleaning it, it looked like it might be salvageable. And in fact, I ordered the oscillators that were damaged when the battery went off, so I'll try that. Yeah, the CD-ROM is future Justin's problems. Like, my current problems are more like the, do I really trust that that filter cap is okay? Yeah, this power supply made a weird noise last time I turned it on. Or it was the logic board making a weird noise. I don't know which. All right. So, according to the cap list and the capacitors in the kit, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Totally fine. All right, so we've got the, so I'm going to start with this board. We'll get these two big caps. The originals are Nippon Kimicom. And the replacements are the same brand, Kimicon. Interesting. In fact, I wonder, are these like maybe the one series they still up? No, it looks like it's a slightly different series. But yeah, they're like, yeah, that's neat. Yeah, weird noises are generally a bad sign, especially when it's like a high pitchy type electronics whine that could be anything from a filter cap about to go to a capacitor going to a capacitor like inducing audio into the audio circuit because its electrolyte has leaked out to, yeah. So anyways, all right, enjoy supper, Garth. So yep, I thought I would start with the power supply. I do have some boards I can try. They're untested, but I'll try them with this power supply after I recap it. And then we'll probably go to the logic board. And then if we have time, we'll do the CD-ROM drive. Because the logic board needs to be next. The other reason why I wanted to do this power supply first is because if I got the time to start taking a look at that 2CI parts board to maybe do a video on it, then, well, at least if I have a power supply for the Performa 600 that I know is working and in good shape because it's recapped, then, well, it'll also work on the 2CI board because it's the same power supply connector. So I figured it would... I figured the power supply made the most sense to do first. But once you see some of the state of the logic board, you'll see why I'm going to do it first. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I said electro-like, Joe, but if an electro-like is a word I need to say to get people to like my videos and share them on social media, then I'm all for making up words. Also, I think I have the first sign that the power supply may have actually been part of the source of that weird noise, because I am having trouble getting the solder off this capacitor. which might be a sign that the solder has become an oxide. So I'm going to add some fresh solder. There we go. And then we'll wick that out, and that actually, that might have been the ticket. There we go. That. All right, that looks like I actually got the solder out. I mean, not that this isn't like a fairly large copper trace, because it is. And maybe I should up my temperature. Hey, Retro Techer Die. I like your bridge machine. I may have to find a similar bridge machine someday. If you haven't seen Retro Techer Die's latest video, he made a bridge machine for MARCHintosh out of his Power Mac G3. Those of you wondering what a bridge machine is, it is a kind of a machine that can be used to interface the old with the new. Yeah, I should probably go find one of my board holders. It would probably help some. Unfortunately, I melted the plastic on one of them. Although, actually, this board might be... hold it, please. Let me go get it. This board might actually be wide enough that the melted plastic isn't a big deal. Yes, thank you, Joe, for correcting me by putting the quotes around new. Yes, a bridge machine is for interfacing the old with the not quite so old. That would probably be the better way to say it. Hey, Frodo Jedi. Well, I guess if anyone feels really bad about my oopsie on the... actually, I wasn't trying to solder it. This actually was damage caused by hot air, not soldering iron. I forgot to put Kapton tape on the board holder. Although, you know, as I might actually, you know, I might have to actually go to hot air to... Okay, I think I am going to actually have to use a little bit of hot air to get that out. Eric, I would 3D print a replacement, but the 3D printed replacement would have a lower melting point than this plastic. So I don't know that it would be a very good replacement, unless I used some exotic 3D filament. Oh, and I can't say that I won't make the same mistake again, because I probably will. I'm a klutz. Well, I can, Eric, but I thought it might also help if I apply heat to both terminals at once. Although this may be more preheating the board too, because the problem is I think it's the two rather large copper traces. There we go. Oh, there may have also been glue on the capacitor, because I think the glue just gave. Okay, now that the board is preheated and the glue gave way, I think now I can go to the soldering iron for... There we go. Okay, I got one of the legs free. There we go. Ew. That no look good. Yummy! It smells like fish. I don't know why they're... Yeah, that doesn't look right. Oh yeah, I think that capacitor had been leaking. So I suspect this other one that's equally as big is probably going to be equally as tricky. So... Well, Eric, I don't know if it was actually glue, but something gave way while I was heating it with the hot air. And it felt like the body of the capacitor actually separated from the PCB. I don't know, maybe it wasn't glue, maybe... I mean, maybe it was the electrolyte, because it seemed like it leaked. Maybe the electrolyte kind of dried and was acting like glue. Oh, yeah. So anyways, so I am still trying to get one more video out for MARCHintosh. I don't know which of the LC2 videos. I'm trying to do 2 videos on the LC2, and I don't know which one will actually get done first, because it kind of dawned on me today that I did benchmarks for one of them during Dave's stream and after Dave's stream, and then like last night, and it dawned on me after I got back to work, or yeah, I think it was after lunch. I was thinking about which video I might want to work on tomorrow evening, and it dawned on me that there's a problem with the benchmarks I ran. So I'm going to have to rerun the benchmarks for the one video, or just scrap the, or I may just, it's a problem with the Mac benchmarks. I did something that... I did a dumb. basically the problem is that I think because I should have started the computer to run the benchmarks without extensions. And I actually probably wouldn't have noticed the problem unless I had, if I hadn't run the benchmarks last night, I would have never noticed the problem. Because last night, I ran the benchmarks of the LC2 with just an FPU installed to give a comparison between the stock LC2 and the LC2 with the MacFX accelerator card. And the one, I noticed that one of the LC2 benchmarks performed lower than it should have. It should have been the same as, that's right. So it was the LC, I think it was the stock LC benchmark. The disk performance was lower than the LC with the FPU, which is just bogus. The FPU has no effect on disk performance. So I'm like, okay, I did something wrong, and I bet it was I bet the problem was I should have turned off extensions. So now there we go. Now that capacitor looked exactly like the way I expected it. So here was the first one, and I don't know what that is. It looks like a blob of solder or something, just nonchalantly hanging out there. So I think this capacitor was bad. This one didn't smell like fish removing it. This one sure did. All right, well, I got those two out. Well, Eric, if you need something to stream, I don't know. Maybe, was there a pad on the other side? It's just it's a single layer board. Well, I mean, it's got some sort of a through-hole thingamajig here. I'm wondering if that solder that... Oh, I bet that's what it was. I bet solder flowed through the hole and attached itself to the pin on the other side. So maybe that's what actually... It was the solder that was holding it in. All right, so... I think these two here are the capacitor. Yeah, I'm having trouble thinking of what you can stream, Eric. How badly is my stream like disconnecting and reconnecting? Well, that capacitor looks a little weird. Okay. I don't know. Alright, so it's C807, C1, and C2. Are there any other capacitors on this board? Okay. It's just YouTube keeps telling me things. I'm trying to figure out if it's an actual problem or just YouTube crying wolf. I guess it's YouTube crying wolf at the moment. All right. Because I don't think I'm going to or I'm going to try not to ultrasonically clean this power supply. Only because I'm still not convinced that one of these components isn't a relay. And relays usually aren't sealed for going through ultrasonic cleaners. So I'm going to try to clean up the electrolyte just using some isopropyl alcohol, which I recently stocked up on last time I was at Walmart. The place where I go when I need to, and only when I need to, and I needed things from Walmart. So I grabbed everything I needed that I just get at Walmart because of the price. And isopropyl alcohol is one of those items. Anyways, I'm going to see if a little isopropyl alcohol won't take care of the leakage. Of course, now I'm wondering, is that a capacitor there? No, that's not. It's a resistor. Oh, well, that's... Oh, it's a power resistor. Even better. Wonderful. All right. Good night, Serena. Small skip just now. Okay, well... My bandwidth is all over the place. All right, I am going to try something here. I don't know how well this will work. I don't know if I can change it while we go. There we go. I just bumped the bit rate down just a little bit. Because it seems like my internet connection might not be going as fast as I want it to. So maybe if I run it at 6,500 kilobits per second, then maybe the stream will be more stable. All right. Or not. All right. Well, all right, let me get toothbrush. I just want to give it a slightly more aggressive clean. There. There we go. All right. That looks pretty good. Yeah, the one capacitor I don't think had leaked. It was pretty easy to clean. This other one closer to the edge of the board had leaked. But looks like I got everything up. There we go. Alright, let me let the isopropyl alcohol flash off a little bit, and then I will go ahead and put the 3 caps. Should be a, let's see, 470 35 volts. It's 470 25. There we go, 470 35. Alright, while we wait for that to dry just a bit more, because everyone always wonders, were the capacitors actually bad? So there's the C807 that went there. And it is reading 437 or 438 microfarad, which is within 20%. ESR 0.37 ohms. VLOS 2%. It probably is okay. These other 2 caps, though, I don't think they'll fit my... I don't believe they'll fit my tester, so... I could be surprised. Oh, there we go. 440 microfarad, 0.5 ohms. Well, or 0.05 ohms. But it also seemed like it had leaked, so maybe it just started leaking. Okay. I believe that the board is dry. And all right. So the stripe is negative. Snap that in. Stripe negative. No, I think that snapped in. All right, so those 2 caps snapped in. And this one, there we go. Ah, very nice fit. All right, so let's go ahead and solder those in, and that'll get this board. And well, there we go. And it took the moment for the solder to want to melt, probably due to this large ground plane. Iron doesn't have enough thermal mass for the joint. Well, it's the only working iron I have, so I guess I could, yeah, maybe I should have probably preheated the board. That would have helped. Bigger, fatter tip helps. I think this is also the biggest tip I have for this iron. Which could be a segue to the sponsor of this episode, my channel supporters. Maybe someday, with your all's help, I will eventually get to the soldering iron. The new iron for my new station that's on my list. So, yeah, flux would have helped too. In fact, I might all right, but I got them in. All right. So let me clean the board off. For some reason the bottom of this board looks dirty, but huh. Maybe it's just where the PCB runs warm, maybe? Yeah, whatever that is on the board there, which I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera. Whatever that is seems to be... Actually, kind of looks like it's under the solder mask. So, I don't think I'm going to be able to clean that off. Anyways, alright, so this board is recapped. Oh, and it's only a few minutes after 9. I think I'd better speed up my recapping if I'm going to get to a logic board tonight. All right. Well, in the meanwhile, I will let this board hang out to the side to kind of let the isopropyl evaporate off. And I'm going to put this board in the board holder. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to do... There's one capacitor on this daughter board. So I'm going to just go ahead and get that capacitor first. And interestingly enough, I believe it is... Oh, I can still put this in the board holder. This way. That'll make it somewhat easier. I could also flip this around to hide the fact that it's all melted. Hey, Jeremy. A lumber run. Well, hopefully the lumber run didn't leave you wondering where the forest of twisted trees that Lowe's and Home Depot get their 2x4s from exist, because I don't know where, but it must be an impressive forest of twisted trees. All right. So there's that cap. Is it good? Is it bad? Let's see, 10.6 microfarads. And it is a 10 microfarad capacitor. All right, which one is that? That is C612. Yeah. Which should be just one of these. Yeah, 10, yep, 50 10s. All right. I just figured I'd get this daughter board next because it's the only cap on the daughter board. I don't think it had leaked. All right. There we go. That board's done. I'm not going to try to remove this daughter board, but there we go. Whoops. Clip the leads down so I don't think they're too long. Attempt to melt the power connector. All right. All right, so that's done. Let me remount this. Hey, oh. An enclosed trailer for $100. That's... sounds like a bargain. Sounds like there could be a catch. And Jeremy just dropped the catch in the chat. Yes. The trailer was $100. For anyone not watching the chat later, he's already up to $1,000 in materials. Oh. Materials and including the purchase price. Okay, yeah, so his $100 trailer is already a $1,000 trailer. So, yes, I knew there was some catch. All right, so on this board, we have lots of lovely little capacitors. It looks like we have 5 here, 1 there, one there, and I guess a couple kind of hanging out in here. So I guess it's time to start trying to remove these one by one. Now, some of these capacitors, it's a little harder to tell which pads they go to, but I'm hoping as I remove the capacitors near them, it will be a little more obvious. Maybe. Oh. It also might be that there is glue on some of these capacitors, so... Oh, I am going to have to remove those two capacitors together because they are glued together. Bad, Delta. Bad, bad. What were you thinking? That makes it harder to repair. Delta Power Supply Company 30 years ago. Who in their right mind would be repairing one of these 30 years in the future? The computer would be so obsolete. Glue those capacitors together. We don't want the warranty claims from shipping damage. Yeah, silly Justin 30 years later. There's so many cool things you can do on an 030. Ew. I just thought of the worst idea ever. All right, Chris Bernstorff, if you are watching this, I know you like to make cocktails. We need a fish juice cocktail to add misery to misery when recapping power supplies. I don't know if you can see how shiny the bottoms of these capacitors are, but it's not supposed to do that. Oh wait, I gotta try to I don't know if you've seen it's like the Texas home inspector guy that he's always he'll like rattle a doorknob that's loose or jiggle the toilet that the whole toilet's loose, and then he'll switch to his face. He's like, it's not supposed to do that. Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. Yeah, those are bitters. No, seriously. Chris was mentioning on his Instagram. He's like, "Hey, if you got an idea for a cocktail, yeah, I'll be the one person." He'll be like, "Oh, Justin," and then I'll see the post get updated. He'll be like, "If anyone has a good idea for a cocktail." Ew, fish juice, yeah. No, I'm like, well, okay, I'm serious in that he actually does make cocktails. He writes poetry and makes cocktails. I'm joking about actually asking him to make a fish juice forward cocktail. Mostly. There is still that, like, thought in the back of my mind. Tartar sauce. Oh, no. Okay, we're not going to add no. And I guess in cocktail, I never said that it was an alcoholic cocktail I was going to ask him to make. That would be one way to add misery, is it? Yeah, it's a non-alcoholic fish juice forward cocktail. Then you get none of the pleasure. Because I don't want you burning your hands while you're recapping a board. Sorry. All right, good night, Frodo Jedi. I'm joking. I would not, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's just a waste of perfectly good fish juice. Does that just chase everyone off? Probably. Probably not. I'm probably making some people reconsider their I don't know, reconsider their beverage choices. Yeah, no, won't be doing that. That's a joke. Yeah, so if Chris is watching, he's probably, oh, good. And updating his Instagram post. If anyone has any good cocktail ideas. Three fingers of cap juice, a dash of battery acid, Varda or Maxwell, Spindler plastic, shaken, not stirred. Yeah, good one, Eric. Yeah, that would be the tray for dipping shrimp. No. Okay, Jeremy, I will, well, I think we have plenty of time to confirm, but I will try to, yeah, try to do it sooner rather than later so you can start collecting it. Yeah, fish juice pressed from genuine 47 microfarad, 16 volt United Chemicon surface mount electrolytic capacitors. Yeah. You dip reefas in it, crunchy and spicy. Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's the sauce for Steve when he's over at Mike's house, right? Which, yeah, I watched his preview of his latest video. And sometimes when I watch the previews, if I think it's actually the final version, I don't necessarily right away go watch the final version. But I'm glad last night I did, because I think he added a few extra items to his video after it went out for preview. Because there's some nights of the week when I have less time than others to watch videos, so I definitely try to watch the new videos when they come out, but some nights I have less time than others. Like Thursday nights, for example, I have like practically no time for YouTube videos, so ew. We have another leaker. You know, I quite honestly think that this power supply might have been the source of some of the weird noise. Because these these... So I've removed 3 of the Rubicons that were here. And I'll actually test them in the tester here when I get enough of them out. But yeah. Oh, and I guess while I'm thinking about Jeremy, I presume you will have room because I am going to make sure you get your oscilloscope while you're here. And the LC monitor you wanted that's broken. That way at least it won't break further in transit. Which, fun fact, I bought another LC monitor. Yeah, these capacitors have suffered from incontinence, yeah. Incontinence, yes. Possibly even, depending on when the capacitors were made, there was even maybe some incompetence going on at certain brands where they were stealing formulas instead of making their own. Although, if these are actually genuine Rubicon, it's probably just because they weren't, well, older capacitors didn't have the best sealing properties. So, I mean, I think these are actually Rubicon capacitors. I don't think this power supply was made in the era of when there was actually companies making capacitors that were labeled with name brands but weren't. I just think these capacitors probably weren't designed to last for 30 years. But yeah, when you get to the, say, some of the early 2000s and some of those capacitor plague victims, now some of those I think are actually stolen capacitor formulas. Ah, now this, oh, this no-name brand capacitor, though, doesn't look like it leaked. Alright, so I guess I kind of decided I'm going to go to, like, removing all these capacitors, and I'll just clean it once. Oh, good. Oh, hey, Will Jr. 880. Welcome. Joe says, I asked my better 7/8 what song best represents me. They thought for a moment and answered, the sound of an Apple II booting up. Well, yeah, that definitely suits you, although I'm not sure if that counts as a song. But then again, when the song changes every 30 seconds, it's kind of hard to identify a song that suits you. Well, that capacitor is testing good, even though it oh, actually, it is so leaky. It is actively leaking right now on my tester, and yet it tested good. But that is electrolyte. Yeah, yeah, Joe's response. Yeah, they bypassed songs and went right to anthems. Yep. Oh, okay. I didn't get it in the tester. Yep. Okay. Yep. It's the one-note anthem, the Apple II startup beep. All right, this one is also actively leaking. It's 1,000 microfarads, and actually it's still within plus or minus 20%, but it's actively leaking. So is this third one. And yeah, I'm going to have to clean my tester off after testing these. Yeah, beep chatter. Yeah, I wouldn't bother testing them either, except the internet wants to know. 984. Yeah, that one's actually, interestingly, claims it's still within spec. I mean, I'm... $950, yeah. So I guess, well, it could harm the... Yeah, I know, Jeremy. But the thing is, I'm going to... Well, the thing you don't see, Jeremy, but we'll probably hear on the microphone. I just sprayed contact cleaner into the socket on it, so... It's good. I flushed out the electrolyte. Yeah, they're in... So I guess that goes to show that even if you get a, like, in-circuit tester, if you were to test those capacitors in circuit, it's possible, if you had a good enough in-circuit tester, that you might think that, oh, well, the capacitors are all testing good. They're not the problem, but... Well, yeah, those capacitors very well could have tested good, but, well, they weren't part of the solution, I'll tell you that. All right. I'm having trouble telling which... Oh, my board holder's breaking. Let's see here. So coil... so let's see here. Coil... Okay, I think that's the capacitor right there. I'll desolder one leg and see if the capacitor moves. Yeah, doesn't matter if they're in spec, they're out of electrolyte. But yeah, so that goes to show that if you're testing in circuit, even if they test good in circuit, that at some point you may still have to ask the question, could they be leaking and have not leaked enough to be out of spec just yet? And that's kind of when you might still have to resort to removing them. So, yeah, the tester is not the be-all, end-all. So here's another kind of... I can't see a brand name on them. I mean, they're marked as if they might be Nichicon, but... Or maybe Panasonic? Oh, these might be Panasonic. Now, it doesn't look like it's leaked, so... I will see if it's in spec. Because that's also the thing. Even if the capacitor hasn't leaked, it could be out of spec. Joe is shipping a pair of Neithernets to Finland. Although, in this case, that one's actually in spec. It's a 470 microfarad. So, so I guess, so Joe, have you shipped Neithernets to Netherlands? Just seems like a, Okay, so I got 2, 3, I think 4 more capacitors to remove. I guess let me start with the... Actually, let me loosen this. I need to... All right. Ah, Joe is... Joe is doing an AT to ATX power supply conversion, apparently. Not a bad idea if you got an AT power supply you can't trust. No, those ones actually didn't smell fishy. And then no signs of leaking. So the only 4 that have looked like they've leaked so far are the 4 that were in the one corner that I can't point to the corner of the board because it's off camera. The rest of these are just, well, I mean, the thing is, all electrolytic caps will eventually leak or otherwise degrade, so they're going to get replaced. And the thing is, I don't have an in-circuit tester to test them, and as painful as these power supplies are to actually take apart and fix, I'm just going to do them all. Alright, so that's 1035. No signs of leakage. $970, it's 1,000 microfarad. So yeah, that one looks like it's within spec. All right. So let me see if I can figure out. So I got 2. All right. So I think one of these is, again, this is going to be a place where I'm going to desolder one of the legs that I think's the capacitor, see if it moves, and if I'm wrong, I'll solder whatever that is back. No, that is not the capacitor. That is, let me see if I can tell what component that actually was. It's not that. It's not that. All right, hold on. Trying to see if I can tell what I just desoldered. Oh, might be because the capacitor I actually am trying to remove is glued. Glued to the, I think that's a transformer or coil or something, so let me carefully try to separate this. There we go. Now let me see if the capacitor moves. Oh, yep, okay, that was the one leg. It just was glued. Yeah, yep, don't blame you, Joe, for checking a 30-year-old power supply. In fact, I usually don't tempt fate when I get a 30-year-old power supply. I at least try to inspect it internally. Although I will admit, some of those AT power supplies were definitely not made with consumer opening, much less consumer maintenance in mind. All right, there we go. That capacitor's out. Yep. Yes. Just as. Yep. Will Junior 880. Yeah. Sometimes the pads come right off, just like Joe. Yep. Joe's agreeing with us. Okay. These are actually. That one's starting to have a V loss that's a little higher than I'd like, but then again, these are. These are like the 50 volt 10 microfarad caps. They're usually higher ESR, so that V loss might just be a fact of their higher ESR. Yeah, they're within spec, I think. But yeah, these. Well, now I will say for anyone watching, especially if you saw my, I think it was last year, I recapped the power supply that was in my 2CI. This Delta power supply is actually not quite as bad as the Aztec one that was in my 2CI. So all right, I think this last capacitor is this pin here. Yeah, the Aztec supply is like a... It's like a... it's more of a board sandwich. And then let's not even talk about the power supply that's in my... I think it's the... Oh yeah, my Emerson... Emerson 8000 EC. That power supply is... I think I opened it up. I was able to confirm there was not a refa in it, but I also realized that if I ever have to take it apart for repair, I may not ever get the thing back together. It was that bad. Okay, I think I have all the electrolytic capacitors off. So let me do a double check. Let me zoom out so that if anyone happens to notice that there's an electrolytic capacitor hanging out on the board that I haven't seen yet, but not the one on the daughter board. Already got that one. I've already replaced. So there. There's two there, there, and then these 5. I don't see any other electrolytics. Interestingly enough, there are extra capacitors in this kit. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there are 11 capacitors in the kit, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to replace. All right. I'm just going to go down the list here on the capacitor capacitor list. So I have C103, C104, which I do not. Oh. Okay, yeah, so C103, I think that's C104, even though I can't see the marking because I think there's glue over top of it. C153 and C154, I think are going to be these two. Yeah, just looking at the values that says they are. C252 is that one. C253 is this one. C302 is C302 C302. Maybe that's the one that... Oh, there's C302, C505, C505's there, C522 is there, C551 is there, C612 is the one that's on the daughter board that I've already done. C684 it's also possible there's an extra cap in here for, so C684. Let me make sure I didn't miss that on this first board. C684, okay. C684 is the one that I have not found. It is not on the first board. If anyone... Yeah, I already did that one, Joe. Yeah, you... Okay. You realize it. Yeah, I did that just because it was the only one on that board. So, and that's not C684. I do not see C684. I don't think it exists on this revision of the power supply. Or it may be unpopulated. Or is it under this... Oh, is it under that thing? No, I don't think it is. Those are all ceramics. Okay, those are all ceramics. Yeah. Okay, I think... Okay, I think C684 is... Oh, hey, Bruce! Welcome to the stream. Okay, I think C684 is the one that does not exist on this power supply. It may be on a different revision. But it is not on this one. All right, so let's see here. So C103 is 2200 microfarad, 10 volts. Oh, hold on. I just realized. First, I gotta clean up the fish juice over here. Hold, please. So I guess, Joe, by your statement there, that if you had an analog amplifier on your logic board, then maybe ideally you would use electrolytics because that's analog. But I guess on a lot of these Macintoshes, it probably... I guess the sound quality is like, you probably won't notice. Yeah. Or I guess it could be the... It's also the... Given the number of electrolytic capacitors in certain audio sections of certain Macs, do you really want to risk it in the future? But yeah. Slight subtle reference to the 17 electrolytic capacitors on the LC2 logic board, including, like, I think 13 of those being in the audio amplifier section. Or maybe 14. This power supply might... If I could convince myself there's not actually a relay hidden on it somewhere, given how those leaky caps, I might actually... Jack 68K. Yeah, I think he just came up with the cocktail of sadness that's for cleaning, not drinking, but pre-mix your isopropyl 99 with fish juice. Fish sauce, yeah, ugh. Yeah, even if a tantalum blows up, for the most part, I mean, I have seen some tantalums that that went with a more vigorous explosive force. But yeah, for the most part, an exploding tantalum will cause less damage than a leaky electrolytic. And given the not so high quality sound in certain lower cost Macs, you probably won't notice the audio quality difference going to a tantalum. Yeah, again, looking at the LC series. LC standing for low cost color, which I don't know why Apple didn't call it LCC, because low cost color is LCC, but whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen them go in spectacular fashion and leave craters in boards. I think Jay had a 2FX board that had a fairly significant crater from a tantalum. Well, there's... I may... electrolytics don't affect the audio... It has to do with the second C in LC is invisible, yeah. I don't know. I'm not the expert when it comes to, like, analog versus digital signal capacitor choices and how electrolytics sound different from tantalums. But I guess that some of it has to do with the electrolytic capacitors are maybe more of a... have a, I don't know, variable quality to them. Oh, that crater was, it was under a RAM slot of the 2FX. Okay. I thought that was a tantalum crater. I mean, I have heard of tantalums causing craters in boards, but those are probably larger tantalums that handle more power. I think, yeah, Bruce might have it. Else, Apple turned low cost into one word. Well, Apple, yeah. I mean, they eventually just kind of... Well, actually, that might actually pass muster without having to run it through the ultrasonic cleaner, because I think I got all the electrolyte off the board. So let me let this take a chance to dry while I check out what this link is that Joe put in the chat. Ah, fish sauce. Thank you, Joe. Yes. Joe made sure I had an Amazon link for fish sauce. Yeah, Jack 68K, it's amazing how much smoke is in a SOT23 transistor that makes it work. Yeah, okay. I think that might just pass muster. Okay. So let's see, C103 is this one. Go ahead and put these capacitors in. C103. And then, let's see, it should have 3 16 1000s. Yep. Oh, good. Those are actually... Oh, did I, Alright, so there's... Go ahead and get the, these 4 caps in. Oh, just realized I'm off screen. There we go. And... there's one leg of this one. This one... I'm getting one leg of each capacitor, and then I'll kind of hold them in place to make sure they're nice and flush on the board. There we go. There we go. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. And that one's good. Make sure I'm happy with the way they look. Yep. All right. So let me get the other side of each of those. And Alright, Alright. That looks good. Alright. So I'm going to clip the pins here. And because I didn't like the way some of these flowed, I'll add a little bit of flux. And to reflow them. Find the... There we go, that's better. Alright. That's better. Oh, good night, Joe. Yeah, I'll have to get some new holders for my board holder. Okay, so C253 is, I guess, the next logical one to do. It's C252 is a 470-25. 252. Okay, there's that one. And 253 is a 470-16. Right. That looks good. I'm going to get these, and I think I will help these flow. Tonight I'm using Chip Quick solder, or Chip Quick flux. Not solder. The solder is I think the solder is Custer brand. It's one of their leaded formulations. There we go. And right, there we go. There we go. All right, so let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess let me go and get C551. That's this 1000 microfarad 35 volt one. Dishwasher with Wi-Fi. That sounds like... Sounds like a washer and dryer I bought for my townhouse that had a Wi-Fi option. It was actually less impressive than it sounded when I bought the Wi-Fi option modules. Because apparently the washer and dryer I had, the only thing they could do with the Wi-Fi option was tell you they were done, and that didn't work very well. Well, Bruce, the only reason I did it is because my townhouse had, well, a basement and then 2 floors. The washer and dryer were all the way down in the basement. And oftentimes I would be all the way upstairs and you couldn't hear the washer or dryer. Even when you turned it up all the way, you couldn't hear it all the way upstairs. Or depending on what you were doing on the first floor, you couldn't even hear it there. Like if I was watching a TV or a movie or something. Sometimes it would just, I don't know, it really wasn't the loudest. Quite honestly, given how quiet the loudest sound setting was on those, it wouldn't surprise me if they did that to try to sell the Wi-Fi module. Oh, you can't hear our washer and dryer when they're done. Oh, well, buy the Wi-Fi module. Then you'll get a pop-up notification on your phone. But that's like the only thing it did. It would only send you a notification, so it's not like some of the other models where it actually also would support like you being able to start the washer dry cycle remotely, which honestly for a dryer is, well, I mean, why would you want a pile of wet clothes in your dryer all day? But I can see you don't know when you're going to be leaving. Assuming you trust your washing machine to not, like, continue filling until it's full and now overflowing and flooding your basement. Yeah, I could see the benefit of being able to load things in the washing machine and, like, start it at a point where you know you're going to be home before it's done, but even that, well, I don't know. It's unnecessary. You can just start your... Unless you're like, whoops. Okay, let's try that again. Well, I don't know how... Well, actually, the notifications never really worked well, but then the company that made the appliances originally sold themselves off to they sold their appliance division off to another company, and, well, I think at that point, well, I think I don't know, I don't remember. Actually, the smart feature worked so horribly, I don't think I remember giving up on it at some point because it just didn't work that great. Okay, and then the other 2 capacitors are these ones here, and yeah, I should have 1 left over when I'm done, and just to make sure that is the case, I'm going to count to make sure that I don't... Yeah, because there's like 1 capacitor that seems to be missing from this revision. So let me just double check that I removed only 3 10 microfarad 50 volts. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, I only removed 3. Okay, very well. There really only were 3 on this board. Okay. Then there must be another revision of this board that had 4 of them. Actually, it's not too hard to get Wi-Fi to a basement if you place your router in a smart place. My router is actually just in the floor above me. So it's a point where it's not in the middle of the first floor because I don't have a place to put it in the middle of the first floor because that would be a hallway and there's no cable jack in the hallway and I'm not going to run one just to put my router in the middle of the hallway, but my house isn't so big that that's not a huge problem. So yep, it's in a place where I can get reception in the basement, although I stream wired. I do not use a wireless signal to stream. I stream wired. So I've got an Ethernet cable running through the floor. And before anyone says, you drilled a hole in your hardwood floor to run a cable down through the basement? No, I didn't do it. Someone that owned this house before me did it, so I just figured, well, when life gives you a house that has a hole in the hardwood flooring, you just go ahead and use that to run a cable down to the basement. All right, so I'm going to try to clean this flux off. Oh, yeah. Now, Chris, I could definitely see in your house mesh networking being a good thing. Yeah. And in fact, I've thought of getting a mesh router for my next Wi-Fi router to partially help a little better with my lawnmower in the yard. But even then, that's not a huge deal because I realized that because I've got the cell modem in my lawnmower, that's actually how it communicates to the cloud, is the cell modem. So not really a big deal that the Wi-Fi probably doesn't extend that well to the farthest corner of my yard. Not that my yard is huge, it's just the Wi-Fi just doesn't, well, I guess the outside wall's attenuated enough, and then the house isn't in the exact center of the yard, so one corner of the yard is much further than the, I guess, other. So I've got 2 corners of the yard that's mowable that's further away than the other 2 corners, just because the house isn't in the center of the yard. It's more shifted to like one side. It also probably doesn't help that in one of the corners of the yard is where the electrical transformer is, and I'm sure that probably does a bit for RF reception by Wi-Fi. Mesh probably does introduce latency, but especially if your house is big enough that one router isn't enough, then I would say the latency's probably less of a big deal than being able to connect to the internet. And I mean, if you get a good mesh router, it's not as big of a deal. Oh, hey, Biggie John, welcome. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I stream wired. In fact, even when I'm in my office, I've got some of those 3M Command adhesive strips and an Ethernet cable running along over the doorways around the hallway. So, yes, and that's another thing RetroTech Chris has done to minimize latency. It's he's got some of the pucks into the wired network. So yes, that is another thing that if you have, because if you've got a house that's wired for Ethernet, you can do that. You can get the mesh routers that have wired and wireless capability, and the backhaul can go over the wired, and all your wireless devices can still connect. So there we go. This board freshly recapped. And I think it's time to put the power supply back together. Hopefully will be enough time for the isopropyl to dry. Let me pull up my picture of the power supply wiring so that I get it correct. So I'm pretty sure I'll have a bad evening if I get it wrong. All right. So all right, so let's see here if I can zoom out just a little bit. So the wiring on this plug was yellow. Yellow goes into U, whatever U is. Black goes into V. And red goes into U prime. And then, let's see, red goes into B plus, which I think makes sense. And black goes into B minus. I think those are actually going to be the AC in. All right. So now, hopefully, I won't have any drama soldering these in. And I am looking forward to your video series, Michael, on developing classic Mac software. Who knows? Maybe the Mac that I am working on tonight might be my development Mac. After all, a 68040 probably isn't a shabby computer to be running ThinkC on. Just make sure. Just making sure I didn't desolder those two components there. Ah, that's right, Dave. You've got a wedding weekend. So, yes. So, for those of you that watch Dave's streams every Sunday afternoon, or at least or I guess morning to afternoon to evening to night, depending on what your time zone is, Dave will not be streaming Sunday. Instead, you should go to Trina's channel, because Trina will be taking over the Sunday stream for this coming Sunday, April 2nd, while Dave is at a wedding. So yes, if you go to Dave's channel, you won't find a scheduled stream, but you will on Trina's channel. So Dave will then be back to hosting the Sunday stream the following Sunday. Oh, Jack68K recommends Code Warrior. 68040 is more than enough, says 1-bit. Code Warriors for, yeah. Well, I mean, 1-bit, I could use the 68040 to develop one to target the older computers because it gives me a little bit more creature comfort for compiling. All right, so it's time to put the power supply back together, or at least enough to test it. But because of how dirty it looks, I'm going to give it a quick cleaning. Let me see if I can't. Oh, okay. Michael just admitted that he uses an IBM compatible PC for creature comforts. Yes, that's right. He's running Basilisk. Okay, maybe I was going to try it on actual hardware so that I could get a feel for the actual experience that someone might have had to develop back in the day. And even though I would be running the compile software on like a 68030 or 68040, that doesn't mean I can't target 6800 or 68 that. Well, okay. Probably shouldn't target 6800. That would be not a Macintosh. The 68000. But yeah, there we go. After all, I was doing my LC2 video that I've been trying to work on, where I was running synthetic benchmarks. I kept thinking, you know, if I could just come up with some actual real use cases to see how that upgrade board might have actually worked. So maybe I can come up with my own compile test. Maybe I can find some, like, maybe there's a large sample code project out there somewhere that I could compile. So, yeah. Anyways, all right, well, that looks better. Doesn't have to look perfect, just better. It's just kind of dusty. All right, so I think... You know... Oh, okay, so this power supply goes together kind of weird. All right. Yeah, I've always thought that MPW was like the development environment, but then again, it's kind of like maybe it was for later Macs. I mean, just because it was like the development environment that like a majority of developers used doesn't mean it was necessarily maybe the fastest or least bloated. Could have had other appealing properties. Oh, yeah. Yeah, MPW was like the one that's, yeah, that's what I thought. But Eric says it was also not user-friendly. Well, in some cases, if that's like the environment you started with for whatever reason, maybe because the better ones weren't out yet or hadn't become their better selves and less bloated, well, there are some developers that'll just keep using the same environment because, well, they're already using it, so might as well just upgrade. Alright, well, this fan is kind of dusty and can't really do anything about it. Oh, I'll just have to dust it later. Okay, so this power supply goes back together kind of interestingly, and we'll have to first make sure I there we go. Okay, so lid goes on this way. There we go. Okay, so it goes on that way, which means these boards have to go back in this way. Yes, okay. Therefore, always good to double check that you're putting the power supply back together correctly. All right, so okay. You're trying to put one of these back together. This is probably should not be considered a reassembly guide live stream because a lot of the things about this power supply, I just took it apart in a way so I would remember how to put it back together. But at least I remember to plug in those two wire leads. All right. I think those 3 screws. Oh, hey, Sloopy Malibu. Welcome. All right, now I get to figure out what I did with my Phillips screwdriver. Oh, there it is. All right, so I think that. And I'm just going to put this back together enough so that I don't feel, or so that I feel like I can safely give it a smoke test. It may not be fully back together, but at least it'll be back together enough that I know I won't short pins on the power supply against. Oh, wait, actually, I just realized the way this goes back together, it will be, I think it will be more or less back together all the way. All right. I think as long as this board is in. All right. There's that. And now this board. I think this insulator goes on like that. And then this board comes around. Oh, I think I do have to screw it in first, and then I can put the insulator back on. Yeah, there we go. So that should be... There we go. And there. Hopefully I won't have any extra screws left over. All right. Now, this cover goes on. And this is the really fiddly part. And make sure this oh yeah. Okay. Helps to put the lid back on correctly. Mm. All right. Something doesn't look right. There we go. I think that's better. Okay. Oh. Not correct. That would have been bad. That's the AC board. That insulator is necessary. Especially if I cut some of the leads a little bit too long. All right. Okay, so as soon as I get this back together in a way where it seems like the case is going to screw back together without any trouble, I'm going to double check that I have the power connector on the correct way. Yes, okay. I have the power connector on the correct way. So now I can pull this. Let's see here. Let's see. Hold on. Hold, please. I gotta find a... Oh. There we go. Push it through from underneath. know if I can... There we go. All right. All right, that connector's through. Guess let me go ahead and... I guess since the only thing left is 5 screws, might as well just go ahead and do that. All right. Let's see here. So that's... one... This is the one that goes there. Oh, let's see here. There's one screw that goes here. Okay, I don't think anything goes there to reassemble it, because I think that's the screw that is one of the screws on the back of the case that actually holds the power supply in. Oh, hey, Thomas, welcome. Anyways, let's see here. That one. This one. And there we go. One more. All right. Power supply is back together. The only thing I haven't done is put this clip back on, but that's because I don't quite remember which direction it goes in. Doesn't make sense. Oh, maybe this is just a clip that holds the connector on. Okay. Well, I think it actually goes that way. Okay. So that just holds that in place. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I wasn't really keeping up with the chat while trying to put this power supply back together because I wanted to kind of focus on getting it right. Mainly because about the only way I can think of testing it is to put it in a compatible board like this Quadra 650 here. First, I got to put the processor back on. All right. I took the processor out for ultrasonic cleaning. This is the board I was joking the other day that I tried to find a cap kit for it and was unsuccessful. Also, the eagle-eyed among you will probably notice, well, it's already all tantalum, so of course you couldn't find a cap kit. Which I'd say, yeah, that became obvious after I received it, but I was looking for the cap kit before I received it because I knew it was on the way. All right, so let me find a little box to set on the logic board. Okay. And let's see here. What do I need? I need RAM. And I need VRAM. Wait a minute. No, that is not the correct. Oh, here we go. Ah, there we go. There it is. Okay. So VRAM. That's the VRAM that came with it. Let's see here. This is the RAM that came with it. I'm presuming that if Apple numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, that this RAM goes in 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, Bruce, if you want 030 power, then I'll have to recap the logic board. Which, as long as it took me to do that power supply, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish that tonight, but I'll sure give it a try. I first want to test this power supply, though. And for that, I picked this nice Quadra 650 logic board, which is a logic board I bought because I had read that Quadra 650s were a common upgrade path from the 2VX, 2VI machines. I even I bought this board before I went to pick up the Performa 600 because that's how much I thought that I was going to find a surprise inside the Performa 600. That I just went ahead and snagged this Quadra 650 logic board off eBay because it was a good price. Because I was like, I'll probably want to do some sort of an upgrade. Now, of course, I haven't tested this logic board. I don't know if it works. It's probably going to want a battery because it's an 040. But anyways, no time like the present. 3, 2, 1. Well, doesn't. Well, it doesn't seem to want to turn on. I mean, this Quadra 650 logic board could have a problem with it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They were pretty bulletproof. Let me make sure I've got the power supply. Maybe I put this plastic piece on wrong. No, actually, I don't think there's any other way to put that on. Oh, I put the CPU in it. Dot to dot. So Yeah, pretty bulletproof board. No, I don't have a 2CI power supply. It's... Jay has it. Maybe the power switches... I just put a little contact cleaner into the power switch because I was wondering if it... Okay, I got ADB, video, power supply. Power supply feels like it plugged in. All right, power. Huh. I mean, I don't hear the power supply doing anything. Hold, please, while I just make sure that I haven't fooled myself with a power cord that I didn't realize was on my bench. Let me just confirm. This is the cord I've been using. As it goes around and back and under and through. And yeah, it is plugged into power. Okay. Well, okay. Well, let me check the power connector for shorts. They are pretty bulletproof boards, but maybe one of the tantalums shorted. Otherwise, I'll I guess I could also check this power supply and see if I have standby voltage. I don't know what the pinout is on this board. All right. I mean, unless the Quadra 650 requires a battery to power up. I mean, I guess I could, I can remember what I did with my batteries. It's also possible something failed on the power supply, and that was the noise I heard, but... Alright, so I just put a battery in the board. I'm trying to pull up the pinout. Alright, I found the pinout. Alright. Although it's not the style of pinout I want. It just has the pins and their voltage assignment. It does not have... It's not a diagram to tell me which is which pin. If someone has a link to that... Because for some reason, I searched for 2CI power supply pinout, and the only thing I'm seeing is PC, which does not help me one bit. Hmm. All right, let's see here. Oh, here we go. I think here's a link to the service source manual. Maybe that's got the pinout I need. Well, I mean, one could hope it would have the pinout to at least maybe tell technicians where they could measure for standby voltage on the power supply. Nope, I guess that's not something Apple wanted their technicians to do. All right. Maybe the console 5 wiki? Maybe? Nope. Hmm. All right, well, let me take a guess. Okay, so I think this is pin... Oh, wait a minute. They're numbered on the board. Why didn't I see that? So pins 5, 6, and 7 are... Those are ground. So pin 8 is negative 12 volts. Pin 9 is power supply on off. Pin 10 is 5 volts continuous. Pin 1 is... Ooh, I think I've got a problem. There is a short on this board. The 5-volt rail is 13 ohms. That is too low. So, I bet one of the tantalums is shorted on this board. Well, that's, Oh wait, there's a capacitor. C14, C14. C14 is a 470 microfarad capacitor. It is between 5 volts and ground. If that was shorted, that would do it. That would be that's probably the main filter cap for that power rail. So let me see if I can see it and check it here real quick. Possible I actually have one of those. Oh wait, that's the 2CI schematic. Never mind. Okay. Hold on. There probably is a filter cap there, but that's the wrong reference for a Quadra 650. I have the wrong schematic. All right, let's see if there's a... Oh, that's interesting. Here's a forum post on Tinker Different. Ultrasonic cleaner appears to have killed my Quadra 650 board. Very interesting. I think they had something else wrong with their board. Yeah, tantalums do short to low ohms. That's probably the... Probably one of them has shorted to low ohms. And the trick is going to be to figure out which one. Well, that just means that I can't use this board tonight. Until I figure out where the shorted tantalum capacitor is. I don't see any tantalum capacitors that look damaged. That's not to say that there isn't one that's shorted. Oh, and there are a few tantalums on the underside of the board, too. Okay. And they also look okay. All right, well, I guess that's going to be troubleshooting for another stream. All right, so I can't use that board. I guess I should probably take the battery off of it. Might move that box below off camera. Oh. Yeah, you're right, Chris. Thank you. Or turn it over. All right. Yeah, I didn't realize which side I had up. Oh well. I'll fix that in post. Yeah, only when they catch fire are they easy to spot. Yep. All right. Okay, now that I've fixed the problem, let me set this board aside. I don't know if I can find a place to set it aside. Let me go grab another board. It also needs recapped, but it didn't look as bad as the one that all right. Okay. So, if anyone's wondering how much I did not expect there being a surprise inside my Performa 600, this is a 2VX logic board because the Performa 600 has no ability for cache. Not that this is a awesome performer of a logic board. I don't remember what I paid for this. It was actually I think I got this one really fairly cheap because who in their right mind wants a 2VX? Although it is good for at least this. Interesting. Okay, that's ground. That is very interesting. This 2VX logic board also has a 14 ohm reading between 5 volts and ground, which would imply that it also might have a short to ground. Of course, I know it needs recapped because it had leaky electrolytics. It's got some tantalums on the board. Does it have a shorted tantalum too? Maybe. Huh. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to use this board for testing. Although I guess I can try because it's apparently in no worse shape than the Quadra 650 board. Thomas, I tried switching on the soft circuit. It didn't do anything. Yeah, they both have soft switch circuits. All right, I don't think. All right, those VRAM sims are sitting on my bench for some random reason. This board didn't come with any RAM though, so I'm going to have to borrow some sims from somewhere. And I think I will borrow There we go. My 386 just told me that I can borrow its memory. I mean, after all, it couldn't actually stop me from removing them. I think this is 16 megabytes. These are 4 megabyte sims, so it's 16 megabytes. Since this is a 32-bit bus, I do need to use all 4. I'll put the battery in. I'm just going to see if we get a video. And I don't have a speaker. Well, I do have a speaker. I'd have to pull it out of the Performa to use it here. I just want to test this on the bench. Let's see here. Where did I put my little standoff? Oh, actually, the Sims will. No, let me put some. I want to put something on there to. Oh, here we go. Nope, that's too tall, I think. Oh, actually, no, that's probably fine. Okay. All right, if this powers up, then I'll find a different standoff. Okay, so 2VX logic board that needs recapped, but let's see if we get power. 3, 2, 1. No. That's a negative. Okay, well, I'm going to see if I even have standby voltage on the power supply. It is also entirely possible that last time I had this power supply powered on, something failed inside of it, and I might not have a working power supply. Okay. There's not a power switch on it. I mean, okay. So one thing I can do carefully, if I can find my multimeter. Oh, there it is. Okay. Do I have AC voltage? Is that switched? Maybe that's switched. Okay. I sure thought this plug was... Okay, let me make sure I got voltage. Okay. All right, so if anyone's wondering, I got 123 volts. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I do have voltage on that cord. So if I plug the power supply in, I'm seemingly not getting any indication of power. All right, so but according to the schematic, pin 10 which I believe pin 10 is this one. Should be 5 volts continuous. And pin 5, which should be this one. Oh, and it does help if when you turn on volts. And I have nothing. PVX board may be bad. PSU. Well, these plugs are always are a little loose. There's no I don't think I've got continuous. All right, I think I'm gonna have to open the power supply back up carefully. Power supply napping? No, I think the power supply is. Hold on. Okay, so it goes on. Oh, let me double check something. Did I? Let me make sure I didn't check the wrong pins. Because I might have had the power supply flipped around. Okay. So it plugs into the board like that, which means that that's pin 5, which is ground, and that's pin 10. Yeah, that's 0. Well, let me check the other way around. What if this? Okay, that's also 0. Okay, I see the colors on the wire. So this is indeed ground. Okay, yeah, so that has to be pin 5. I mean, it is possible that it requires a load for the soft power to generate power. But by the way, this is like one of the most difficult voltage measurements to take. Because I gotta do it from the bottom of the logic board. Alright. Carefully, of course. Alright. Okay, so now the soft power circuit should have a load of some sort. It may not be the best load, because this board does need recapped. But there should be a soft power circuit. And I have nothing. I got 6.2 millivolts. Okay. Okay. So This board... I mean, there could be a problem with the soft power circuit on this board. It does have electrolytic caps that might have leaked. I don't know where the soft power circuit is right offhand. I'll go put this back on the shelf. Let me go get the Quadra board. Or actually... Alright, actually... Let me just get the Performa 600, and let me take a resistance measurement on its 5-volt to 5-volt to ground. If it's also like 13 to 15 ohms, then I'm more inclined to believe that maybe there's some well, I would have a hard time believing that I have 3 boards doing the exact same thing. Oh, it also does help to have it on ohms. And I got 15 ohms there. On this board too. Interesting. Well, all right. Okay, well, let me try something here. This might be the point where I may not get to the logic board because power supply I may have to open the power supply up again. Okay, so I just plugged the power supply back in to this board. I do know I did get this to power on. Even though it's like some parts of the board are extra crunchy with electrolyte leakage. But let me see if I can at least get this to power on. I just want to at least see if the power supply is working. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to have to continue looking at the power supply. Okay. So I got video, I got power, I got ADB. I think that's everything. Oh, good night, Will. In an ideal world, the custom cable to easily plug it in the board would be great. Well, I don't have a custom cable to plug it into the board. That would be great. I mean, I think there might be part of an ATX connector that matches. But, alright. I think the power supply is... I think the power supply is dead. I guess I'm going to have to check it. Okay. Well, I guess the power supply gets to come back open because I just love taking these power supplies apart. I mean, well, I mean, it's 11:30 here, so the stream will end in 30 minutes, whether or not I'm done. All right. And these are like the most annoying power supplies to remove. There we go. Okay, power supply's got to come back open because even though I'm reading 15 ohms on the 5-volt rail on 3 different logic boards, one of which I know doesn't need recapped because it has tantalums. This power supply is... I probably won't work on this tomorrow. I've got a scripted video I'd like to try to finish for the conclusion of MARCHintosh, although it is bugging me now why this power supply has decided to stop working. All right, maybe a quick examination of it might yield a capacitor I put in backwards, maybe. Or maybe a capacitor I put in the wrong spot. All right, we'll see. Okay, I think that should be all the screws holding the cover on. Oh, that's right. But you gotta remove the connector. Really, they designed these in a way to make them extra annoying to take apart. Okay, so yeah, you know why this power supply was dead? I'm surprised I didn't see it through the case. Notice anything that Justin forgot to plug back in? Like the mains lead? There we go. And that, folks, is why I am not going to be streaming much past midnight tonight, because obviously, if I'm tired enough to make a silly mistake like that, I should probably make sure I get plenty of sleep tonight. Well, I think I checked the fuse before I started working on the power supply. It was okay. But that would explain why even the first time I plugged this power supply in, why it didn't, like, do the thing it does when it charges the capacitors. So, yeah. All right, so now that I have taken this power supply apart and put it back together for a silly reason. There we go. Make sure all the metal bits have... All right. Well, I guess at least the one good thing is I didn't have to completely disassemble it to realize the silly mistake I made. I guess the other thing is I can plug it in. Hopefully we'll plug it in. We'll see the... or maybe hear capacitors charging. And I'll see if we've got standby voltage. And then I'll go get the Quadra 650 logic board, since it is hopefully the most bulletproof of the boards that I have. I would actually use the 2CI board because it's probably the most expendable of the boards I have that can use this power supply, but it is in a state where it can't work. I mean, granted, I think all I got to do is put a new oscillator and a real-time clock on it, and it stands a chance of working at that point. Although I kind of wonder if the power-up circuit is probably in poor shape due to leaky capacitors, but... Alright, well, I guess at least the one good thing is I figured it out before the stream ended. I'm sure someone in the comments is probably going to let me know that, well, I saw it. It was obvious you didn't plug it in. Well, okay, well, alright. So I have 0 volts on standby, and I'm going to plug it in. Alright, I heard the... and I got 5 volts. That's promising. Alright. Round 2, yeah. Yes, Bruce. Yep, you can, I don't know if there's like a tinker different thread for, silly things I saw on a live stream. That Justin, he didn't plug in the mains power and the power supply for putting it back together. No, let's not start that thread. Thank you. And now, in my, now that I just had a moment of being slightly more awake, I think now, yeah, okay, I should keep my mouth shut sometimes. Oh, there's the Quadra board that I couldn't find. Yes, if your power supply doesn't work, and you're putting it together on a live stream at 11 to 11:30 at night, and you've had to get up early a couple days this past week because of meetings, and your board doesn't work, you might, just might, want to check that you plugged in the mains power lead onto the board. Before you start doing sillier things. All right. So we got power, got video. I don't really like the way this Quadra board's wobbling. Let me see if I can find something non-conductive to put behind it. There we go. Also double as a, well, all right. Wait a minute. I heard a click. No. Huh. Oh, does this Mac require a battery to power up? Oh. Oh, you know, I'll be fine in a little while after I forget about it and, well, this Quadra 650 board doesn't seem to want to power on. Oh, yeah, it's unhappy. There may actually be a tantalum cap on it shorted. The fan spun for like a quick second and then stopped, so I bet I bet there is a tantalum shorted on that board or something. Hopefully it's not Justin put the processor in backwards. But no, I did put the dotted corner in the marked corner of the socket. So that's the dotted corner and that's the marked corner of the socket. I'm pretty sure that is the way it was. Okay, so I think maybe there is a shorted tantalum on this board. Unfortunately, I don't have a thermal camera, so it's probably going to be see if there's schematics for the board. There's probably not. But I'm probably just going to have to kind of do some circuit tracing and figure out where the main filter caps are and go from there. All right. Okay. Let's okay. Well, since didn't that didn't work, I'm not going to go get let me just try the Performa 600 board because it's in a case and it's just sitting right here. All right. Let me see here. So I'll put a actually, nope, it's the Performa 600 is an 030. So I don't think it's got one of those video circuits that requires a battery to power up without the Texas two-step or whatever you call it. Although, please cut me some slack if the Texas two-step isn't the name of an actual dance. Because maybe it should be. Although, maybe in reality, if you only have a two-step dance, maybe it would be the Delaware two-step. I don't know. And for those of you that don't live in the U.S., Texas is a rather large state. Delaware, I think, is the smallest state. Alaska's actually the largest state. But, yeah. Alright, and I just did something that... Okay, I should still be streaming. I didn't do something to the stream itself. I just did something to my chat view. Okay. Alright, I got the power supply plugged in. Video, keyboard. 3, 2, 1. Well... Oh, hey Jay. No, it's not fixed yet. In fact, I think the power supply is... I think there's something wrong with the power supply. Okay, well, I guess I could... I mean, I know this logic board needs recapped. So it's quite possible that all right. It's quite possible it's just not going to power on. Well, I can't check. Yeah, it's not staying on long enough. And I can't check voltages on this board because it's mounted in the case. This is the board I was hoping to recap tonight. Alright, I guess I can, yeah, it's like, I hear it click to turn on, and then it just turns off real quick. So, something is shorted, I think. Tried kicking it, not yet. I also haven't threatened a, spray painting the case orange. Sometimes that motivates equipment that knows it's supposed to work in beige cases to work, but then again, this power supply is probably already disappointed in the fact that it had to live its life in a Performa 600, which was a nerfed Macintosh 2 VX, which I think in and of itself was a nerfed computer to keep people from getting a 2CI performance out of a 2VX. So, yeah, if you thought you couldn't nerf a 2VX any more than it was because it's a 32 megahertz processor on a 16 megahertz bus, well, the Performa 600 doesn't have the lines on the logic board to support a cache module, so there. That's how you nerf a already nerfed board. Prevent people from using a cache module. Alright. Just trying to get the power supply out. They're kind of picky. There we go. Alright. I mean, it is quite possible that I've got 3 logic boards that need work before this power supply will work on them. Alright, let me see if I can find on the pinout what I'd have to do to try to get this thing to power up. It looks like maybe you short pins 9 and 10? Is that what the power-up circuit does? Alright, well, let me at least make sure I got standby voltage. Standby voltage will work. Standby voltage should work when the power supply is plugged in. So let me see here. There's pin 5 and it's ground, 10 is standby. 4.97 volts. Yeah, if someone in the chat knows if there's a way to, like, get this to power up so I can just check its other voltage rails. But yeah, I got 5 volts on the standby voltage, so I haven't blown a fuse. Guess if I... Okay. Just had one other thought. I don't know how valid this test will be. This board is missing a few vital items. I mean, I suppose I could really quickly put them back on the board. Okay, so this is a parts 2 CI board. And it has 16 ohms between 5 volts and ground. Of course, now the interesting thing is, in this case, I can pull the schematic up to see which is the bulk filtering capacitor that's on this board. Pull it off and measure the resistance again. It is possible that if there's a low ESR capacitor with the 5 volt rail, maybe that resistance is okay, but that sure seems low. But yeah, if anyone's wondering, yeah, that's, well, I mean, it's missing the spicy pillow. It's also missing the real-time clock crystal. And, well, it's practically missing the 50 megahertz oscillator, because it might look rusty and on the board from that angle, but if you'll notice, those 2 pins are like not connected. But I mean, even if I put those parts on, because they're in the Mauser box, I don't hold out hope that this is going to work, because I think there's a transistor missing on the board in the power circuit. Ah, yes, I just noticed that. There is... Yeah, this board's not going to help at all. I didn't realize, but yeah, there's a transistor missing right there. It probably fell off in my ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, that's probably where it is. It's probably in the bottom of my ultrasonic cleaner, so... I cleaned this board because I was trying to figure out if it was even remotely salvageable and to get the electrolyte off the board. I mean, it's still quite possible this is a parts board, but I at least thought I would put these 2 components on and see if I could get it work, but not tonight. Yeah, I thought maybe if these were the only 2 components I thought would keep it from actually powering up and maybe running long enough to see something, that I might give it a try, but no, it's missing a transistor in the power up circuit. I'd never get it to power up. And I don't know what transistor that is right offhand, and I may not have one. And my ultrasonic cleaner is so large, I'd probably never find it just trying to fish it out from the bottom. That's probably where it is. I can go back and look at my photos of the board. Although it's possible that transistor was missing before. So yeah, that's not going to help me test this power supply tonight. So it looks like either I have 4 boards that all have shorted capacitors between 5 volts and ground, or this power supply has a fault with it, and the noise I heard the last time I tried to power the computer up was actually something going in the power supply. So, I guess seeing it's 8 minutes till midnight, I'm not going to try to do anything with this power supply tonight. I'm just going to leave it back together right like this, because that way I have run the least chance of losing screws or anything. And I'll tackle this later. So I guess I might be in the market for a spare power supply. Or maybe I can well, find a way to get a known working power supply. Because the thing is, you'll remember the computer made an odd noise, and then I thought it might have been the power supply, so I actually knew it needed recap just because these power supplies usually do. Confirmed it did because there were leaky caps. They are so leaky they will actually just get thrown in the trash. Every last one of them. There's no reason to keep them. And yeah, I'm actually just setting them on my bench where I'll remember to throw them away so that they don't get electrolyte all over my workbench. But yeah. But there's seemingly another fault with this power supply, and I'll have to track it down. I mean, there was a resistor in the power supply that I found, and it kind of looked like maybe it had been running hot. I don't remember smelling any smoke when I heard the noise. But it is possible that because the resistor that looked like it had been running hot was actually in shrink wrap. Maybe I should try to figure out what value resistor it was, because maybe that resistor burned out and the shrink wrap kind of helped contain the smell of smoke. So maybe I may, that might be my first culprit, but not tonight. I'll have to figure out what it is to see if I have parts. So anyways, yep. I guess the Performa 600 will not be performing tonight. I will probably recap it sometime soon, though, just because the board, I need to remove the board and recap it and clean it, because it's got electrolyte on it and some of the chips are starting to look green. So it is quite possible that in my live stream next week, whether even if I don't have the power supply sorted, I may just go ahead and recap the logic board anyways, just because there's no question that it needs it. I just kind of wanted to have a working power supply to be able to test it sooner rather than later. But I think, given how bad the board looks, I think I'm going to have to just go with recapping it sooner rather than later and test it later when I either maybe get my 2CI power supply back or manage to figure out what's wrong with that power supply. Maybe there's a diagram or schematic or something out there. Maybe I'll start a thread on Tinker Different if anyone has any ideas. Or maybe to even help me identify what value that resistor is. So, yeah, so my Performa 600's current performance level is that of a Performa 0. So, yeah, it can only go up from here. And believe me, I have tried to think if I have another board I could test that 040 accelerator in, because I'd really like to see it run. Actually, it would work in the 2VI or 2VX logic board, but cue the problem that I don't have a power supply that works, so I'm not going to be doing that until I get the power supply sorted, or maybe get my 2CI power supply back, or maybe someone might have a spare 2CI or type power supply that maybe they'd like to gift to the channel. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this stream to an end. Not every stream can have a good conclusion, but it has a conclusion. So I'm picking up my metal leads off my bench because I want to get them off the bench. All right, well, that's good enough for now. Anyways, I am going to find the button. I am going to wish everyone a good rest of your day. Hope to see you next time. Don't forget, this Sunday, it'll be Trina's channel, not Dave's. Dave, if you're still up and out there, I hope the wedding goes well with your, I believe it's son. So congratulations, early congratulations on their marriage. I hope you all have a wonderful time at the wedding. Hope everything goes smooth. And we'll see you back on your channel the following Sunday. See everyone on Trina's channel this Sunday. And of course, back on my channel, I'll be live streaming next Thursday. This Thursday seemed to be my stream days. So take care and happy vintage computing. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.